of Management Studies IGNOU presents an audiobook on the course Mmpc 016 International Business Management for MBA program. Presenting Block 4 International Business Functions, Unit 13 International Human Resource Management.
Objectives. After reading this unit, you should be able to 1. Explain the role and nature of International Human Resource Management IHRM. 2. Identify the cross-cultural issues in IHRM. 3. Describe the process of international recruitment and selection and the need for training and development. 4. Explain the need and process of managing expatriates and the methods for appraising their performance. And 5. State the objectives, approaches, and components of compensation for international human resources. Introduction. Human resource management is crucial to organizational competitiveness and productivity due to the growing diversity of the world's workforce and the increasing importance of the international workforce. There is far more interest and enthusiasm among HR managers to better manage the diversity in the workforce as businesses are getting international. If an international organization is to survive in today's competitive environment, it must successfully manage the increasing complexities of its human resource. Human resource management is also growing in importance as the firms with global ambitions are relocating their business operations to those geographical areas where they enjoy advantages in scale, scope, systems, and synergy. Role and nature of International Human Resource Management IHRM. International business corporations, whether large or small, if intending to retain their domestic operations and yet to be competitive with respect to cost and quality, they will have to improve their quality, genre, and philosophy of their human resources. Talented people must be attracted to join the organization, trained, motivated, and developed to perform at high levels, and encouraged to remain with the organization with loyalty and commitment, thus helping international business firms to achieve their core objectives. Let us now understand 4C's model by Manab. This model will help us in understanding how it can act as a catalyst for effective human resource management. 4C's model of human resource management. Effective human resource management is essential for corporate success and it can be facilitated by applying the 4C's model for human resource outcomes. The 4C's are 1. Competence. How competent are our employees? Is more training required? To what extent do our HR policies attract and retain good people? 2. Commitment. Just how committed are our workers to their jobs and to the growth and development of the organization? How do our HR policies promote workers' commitment to the job? 3. Congruence. Is there a congruence between the basic values and goals of the organization and that of its employees? Is there something that binds the spirits of all employees into single vision, creating an environment of trust and respect for all? 4. Cost effectiveness. Are our HR policies cost effective with respect to wages, benefits, absenteeism, turnover, and so on? Through the proper framing and execution of human resource policies, an organization can maximize the performance of its human asset. When the 4Cs are well managed, they provide a number of rich rewards to the organization. The rewards can be 1. High competence of the employees leads to A. Versatile skill set of the employees, B. Capacity to assume higher roles when assigned, and C. Capacity to respond enthusiastically to external challenges. 2. High commitment ensures A. Better communication between subordinates and their superiors, B. Mutual trust and respect between subordinates and superiors, and C. mutual understanding of issues of all stakeholders. 3. High congruence leads to a common purpose for all concerned, B. Collaborative approach to problem solving, and C. Concerted and cohesive responses to environmental challenges. 4. High cost effectiveness leads to A. Harmonious relations among employee, B. Equitable remuneration and rewards leads to very low dissonance, C. Overall happy working environment. IHRM Definition and Scope. Typically, HRM refers to those activities that are undertaken by an organization to utilize its human resource effectively. Some of these activities include 1. Human resource planning, 2. Staffing, 3. Training and development, 4. Performance management, 5. Compensation and benefits, and 6. Labor relations. We now consider which activities change or has to be revisited when firms becomes global. An international engaged firm requires internationalization of HR policies, activities, and actions. An article by Morgan on the development of international HRM presents a model of international HRM that consists of 3 dimensions. 1. The 3 broad human resource activities: procurement, allocation, and utilization. 2. The 3 national or country categories involved in international HRM activities: the host country where a subsidiary may be located, the home country where the firm is headquartered, and other countries that may be the source of labor or finance. 3. The 3 types of employee of an international firm: host country nationals, HCNs, parent country nationals, PCNs, and third country nationals, TCNs. Thus, for example, IBM employs Australian citizens, HCNs, in its Australian operations, often sends US citizens, PCNs, to Asia Pacific countries on assignment, and may send more of its Singaporean employees on an assignment to its Japanese operations as TCNs. Compensation management of HCNs. While deciding on a compensation structure of host country, nationals working in the host country, the local culture, and practices along with the prevailing government rules and regulations are to be taken into consideration. Furthermore, due consideration should be given to general compensation policy of the parent company. Any kind of discrimination in compensation policy between parent and host country nationals may lead to ill feeling and dissonance among the employees in the host country. International HR managers are required to work closely with both parent and host country HR team and exchange information about the compensation packages, among other things. A consideration is made to expatriates who will be earning a much higher salary than their host country peers for doing more or less the same work. But such a reward to expatriates is required to bring talent and strive for growth of the company. One way of dealing with problem is to pay equally to all the employees, that is, expatriates from home or other countries and host countries professionals, but offer a special allowance to expatriates to attract them for specialized and specific works which they are assigned with. Expatriates can be offered allowances or other rewards at the HQ so that employees at position of work are not aware of what expatriates are getting as an extra compensation. In recent years, there is a trend in favor of flexpatriates, who are frequent flyers, foreign professionals, who travel at a short notice for shorter time durations while maintaining their family and personal lives at home, that is, in their country location. Cross-cultural issues in IHRM. Culture. By culture, we mean the whole set of social norms and responses that condition a population's behavior. It is cultural setup that makes social environment different from another and engrows everyone in its unique and own color. Culture is acquired, in fact, to be precise, it is inculcated. It is the set of rules and behavior patterns that an individual learn and imbibe through his or her social interactions but does not inherit. For every society, these norms and behavioral responses develop into a different and unique cultural pattern that gets passed down through the generations with continual embellishment and adaptations. Culture is largely inculcated through languages, spoken or written. Language then becomes the medium of culture. It may even condition what we see, oversee, and observe in our informal communications with gestures, body language, and signs, etc. Culture can be interpreted based on certain cultural patterns, traits, and customs. In nutshell, the fundamental precursors of culture are the interrelated concepts of belief, values, attitude, behavior, language, nonverbal cues, communication customs, and trust customs. One factor leads to another in sequence. However, all the four factors are multifaceted, indicating that the consequences of a given behavior will have implications for each of the precursors, which in turn define culture. International HR managers need to recruit and select the employees who shall be working on international business deals and needs to understand and comprehend cultural aspects well. These employees have to negotiate business contracts and figure out marketing strategies for the particular market. Hence, the employees for international business operations must always be prepared for unexpected cultural factors that they have to deal with. The following aspects of culture need to be properly understood with 1. Language. Language is an important basis to understand a culture. If someone can speak the language of host countries, one can understand the expectation of its employees, methods to deal with, and address their concerns before it becomes a problem. Furthermore, language helps us understand the business paperwork, especially related to tax laws, employment laws, and business law, and help manage operational decisions of the firm. 2. Religion. Religion also has important bearing on culture and largely shapes the beliefs, values, and customs of the society. Understanding of religion can help avoid many challenges. For instance, Christians celebrate Christmas with enthusiasm and prefer not to work at least in the second half of December. Religion might be an important thing to take into consideration when it comes to international business. 3. Etiquette. Etiquettes are integral part of any culture, and one can understand cultural sensitivity through etiquettes. Etiquettes may differ even with a cultural group, as these are shaped how we are raised, educated, and work with. Etiquettes shape a particular way of behaving and social guidelines, which in turn lead to specific pattern of thinking. For instance, green color is preferred color of Muslims around the world except in Malaysia, where it is distasted upon. If one is making sound during eating, it might annoy a German, but Chinese believe that you are enjoying the food. 4. Negotiation. Communication and trust customs of a culture helps in business negotiation. Business negotiations are the most crucial business skills for international business. Several studies have been conducted and they specify the best way to approach international negotiation. Business negotiation tactics should be in line with the culture and language, along with deeper understanding of clients' business goals and motivations. Role of culture in international HRM. Culture plays an important role in international human resource management. We first take up the elements of cross-culture diversity, cross-cultural perspectives. Socio-economic and cultural variables influence management philosophy and practices in all countries. It is not easy to transmit home country's work culture, boss-subordinate relationship, decision-making process, value systems and techniques in other countries. The issues relating to applicability, transferability, and utility of advanced management knowledge and practices therefore have remained clouded. Cross-cultural studies have confirmed variations in management thinking and practices based on social, economic, and cultural differences. A few illustrations are 1. Japanese culture places high premium on collective responsibility, which is described by the word shujo hu on, gratitude to nature and other human beings for one's success. This philosophy requires abandoning the idea of individual power domination in favor of cooperative group action. This is not so in Western culture, which is based on individualism leading to the goal of self-actualization and fulfillment for individual rather than a group as a whole. Decision-making in Japanese system is considered to be more time-consuming than in American system. Under Ringi Saido, the formal process of decision-making may start at any level, but it normally starts at middle management level and then works its way both laterally and horizontally. It results in reducing the risk. The degree of participation, examination of detail, and speed of implementation is higher in this system compared to US European system where individuals play more important role and make quick decisions, but the accuracy and implementation may not be of that high order. 2. Work is regarded as an end in itself in Anglo American culture, but not so in Mexico. 3. Whether it is the shortcomings, the US management is still considered to be more democratic than the French, German, and Indian management styles, though it is conceded that the autocratic style is not always dysfunctional and may be appropriate in a given situation. 4. Some studies indicate that in the economically backward countries, authoritarian style of leadership in business has shown better results in terms of productivity than the democratic style. It has also been found that managers in these countries have a tendency to project their values on others in comparison to the most managers in developed countries. Salary differences between average and poor performers in these countries are low as compared to developed countries, where performance is an important criterion for determining pay packet. The managers in developing countries are also found to be satisfied with the usual maintenance of their operations, while managers in developed countries stress objectives of growth and competition. The studies confirm that there is no single way of doing things or managing enterprises. Similarities may be explained in terms of cultural variables, while differences are looked into from socio-economic and cultural perspectives. Elements of cross-cultural diversity. The elements of cross-cultural diversity may relate to spoken language, unspoken language, hand gestures, and symbolism. Spoken language. Spoken language actually splits some nations into more than one culture. In Belgium, there are two definable cultures based on the two languages, French and Dutch, that are spoken there. Similarly, there are two cultures in Switzerland, matching its two languages, German and French. Canada is currently experiencing serious political pressure to split the nation into two separate countries, one that speaks English and another that speaks French. In the world of business, the spoken language is critical for four reasons. Firstly, the language can be essential in the process of collecting and evaluating information. Knowledge of the local business environment should not be totally dependent upon the opinions of outsiders. A manager with the ability to analyze the business situation firsthand through knowledge of the language has a tremendous market advantage. Secondly, although English is generally accepted as the international language of business, a manager still needs to communicate with other members of the local society and should have working knowledge of host country's language. Thirdly, if the managers do not have knowledge of host country's language, the internal company communications with non-English speaking employees cannot be accomplished effectively through interpreters. Fourthly, language goes beyond the pure technical skills to help the manager to understand the business context and operational challenges. Unspoken language. Unspoken language, sometimes referred to as non-verbal language, is an effective way of communicating our beliefs, values, and attitudes, as well as augmenting our verbal messages. There are a number of ways to categorize the many types of unspoken language, but the following examples are most widely recognized: facial expressions, walking, posture, hand gesture, color symbolism, proximity, touching, eye contact, olfaction, artifacts, clothing, hairstyles, cosmetics, and silence. Hand gesture can be very expressive in some cultures, but they often have different or even contradictory meanings. Color symbolism can be very confusing for the international manager. The color green, for example, is popular in the Muslim countries, but it symbolizes disease and pain in Malaysia. The color red symbolizes love, joy, and happiness in Chinese culture, and in many African cultures, it symbolizes death and grief. In Nigeria and South Africa, red symbolizes violence and sacrifice. Managing cultural diversity. Building a more diverse and effective workforce for the success of a corporation demands that management has a program to manage cultural diversity. Such a program will assist the firm during the testing times to plan effectively for recruiting and selecting the best employees for managing the international business operations. A culturally diverse workforce will maximize a company's ability to deal with a culturally diverse marketplace. Moreover, the culturally diverse work teams can better deal with culturally diverse consumers. They can advertise better and leverage other marketing techniques to attract diverse customers. Furthermore, they can better manage financial institutions, labor unions, professional associations, and so on. Firms that are going to be globally effective in business operations must develop cross cultural training programs to help their employees become more sensitive towards other cultures and their fellow employees. One popular form of cross cultural training is the cultural assimilation, through which trainees respond to scenarios of particular situations in specific countries. Such programs have been most successful for Arab countries, Iran, Thailand, Central America, and Greece. Managing individual and workforce diversity. In addition to learning to manage cultural diversity, the international HR manager must also develop skills in the management of individuals' diversity. Needless to mention that in each culture, there will still be many ways in which each individual will be uniquely different from another. A trained HR manager will carefully and selectively apply the American adage, different strokes for different folks, to manage such individual who uniquely contributes to growth of the firm. Managing a diverse workforce may sometimes result in challenges such as miscommunication, mistrust, poor cohesiveness, and stereotyping. However, these barriers of diversity can be overcome by a well-integrated system which plan, execute, and take care of needs of training, development, awareness, and assimilation of specific types of cultural sensitivities for its diverse workforce. Critical enablers for successful management of cultural diversity would include the following: 1. Strong and visible support from the top management. 2. Continuous efforts to assess the training needs to manage cultural diversity. 3. Flexible programs for recruitment, selection, training, retention, and upward mobility of a diverse workforce. 4. Programs to accommodate family needs such as creche and care centers for the elderly. 5. Alternative work schedules including part-time work, job sharing, compressed work weeks, flexi time, etc. 6. Telecommuting opportunities for non-conventional workers and foreign workers who do not wish to immigrate. 7. Diversity training. 8. Language training. 9. Mentoring or the use of high-level managers to guide high-potential women, minorities, and fringe groups to promote diversity. 10. Support groups that help build minority networks for the support and guidance of needy employees. 11. Career development opportunities including promotions to maximize the upward mobility of diverse employees to overcome the glass ceilings that tend to hold them back. International recruitment and selection. The IHRM literature uses 4 terms to describe MNE approaches to managing and staffing their subsidiaries: ethnocentric, polycentric, region-centric, and geocentric. These terms are taken from the seminal work of Perlmutter, who claimed that it was possible to identify 3 primary attitudes among international executives. These are ethnocentric, polycentric, and geocentric approaches to build and develop a multinational enterprise. Perlmutter highlights these approaches to develop international organizations based on certain assumptions of top management, which will help them expand product geographies and functional decision making. To demonstrate these 3 approaches, Perlmutter used aspects of organizational design such as decision making, evaluation and control, information flows, and complexity of organization. He also included perpetuation, which he defined as recruiting, staffing, development. A 4th attitude, region-centric, was added later. You will recall that these 4 approaches were earlier discussed in the context of managing international marketing decisions. Approaches to international HRM. A multinational enterprise uses any one of the said approach or a mix of some of these to meet its manpower requirements. These terms, though explained in one of the previous units, need to be discussed in the context of human resource management. These are 1. Ethnocentric approach, which is characterized by MNE's preference for using home country nationals for all senior positions and rewarding them more generously over the host country nationals. The discrimination, if carried too far, alienates and demoralizes the host country's employees. 2. In polycentric approach, the host country nationals are preferred for local positions. The local units get greater degree of autonomy in recruiting personnel for managerial and other positions. The knowledge of local language, culture, and environment on the part of local managers helps create a more favorable attitude among employees of the local organization and also with the suppliers and customers. The risk associated with too much localizing is that it may alienate the local units from the mainstream organization. 3. In region-centric approach, managers are recruited on regional basis, and these may include some employees from parent country, but a larger section from the host country or region. For instance, an American multinational operation in Europe may prefer to have European managers at regional headquarters in Europe in large numbers instead of sending all the business heads from the headquarters. 4. The geocentric approach is based on the philosophy of global outlook of the management. It shows M&E's commitment to employ best brains available from anywhere. The top positions, even at the headquarters, may go to host country or even third country nationals. Very few multinationals follow this approach as the culture and tradition of the corporation is built over the years on the basis of certain objectives, philosophies, and practices. Managing expatriates. An expatriate is a home country or third country national who is assigned to host country for managing business operations. Most expatriates are managers or highly trained technical experts. The advantages of using expatriates are: 1. Expatriates usually have the necessary technical and managerial skills. 2. Expatriates enhance communication between the parent company and the foreign subsidiary. 3. Expatriates are more familiar with corporate culture, vision, and mission of the parent company, thus help promote parent-subsidiary relations. 4. Assigning expatriates to foreign posts is an essential part of the management development programs, and it leads to their progress towards becoming an international manager. The disadvantages of using expatriate are: 1. The total compensation paid to an expatriate is usually much greater than what is paid to a host country national. 2. Host country nationals do not require special training to adapt to the local culture. 3. Host country nationals do not require work permits. 4. Using host country nationals enhance the firm's local image. 5. Using expatriates with special employment contracts may block promotional opportunities for the locals and may sometimes contradict the equal employment opportunity regulations of host countries. Factors in expatriate selection. An international HR manager has to select the right employees who can adjust and perform their assigned responsibilities effectively in the host country. While selecting the expatriates, an international HR manager should make sure that: 1. The selected employees are able to develop language fluency for the assigned international assignment. 2. The selected employees are psychologically ready for the international assignment and are willing to have an international experience. If required, one can use psychological screening to assess the readiness of expatriates. 3. They are offered strong support before and during the assignment, preferably on setting their expectations and aligning them to firm's business objectives. Expatriates can be given the feedback of performance of some previous managers and offered guidance, mentoring, and assistance from such employees. 4. The expatriates should be provided a time window to self-assess their readiness and should be helped to set their realistic priorities and expectations for adjusting to the host country. 5. They are allowed to maintain a connection with the parent company or where they are currently posted so as to sail them through easily with the new country's business environment. Further, one should also factor the following points while selecting the expatriates. These are: 1. Technical ability. 2. Cross-cultural suitability. 3. Family requirements. 4. Country cultural requirements. 5. M&E requirements. 6. Language. Expatriate training and development. MNEs need managers with global outlook. No internationally engaged firm can afford to have a system which promotes inefficiency, inbreeding, and narrowness for its top management who have to take strategic and operational decisions for growth and expansion of the firm. Hence, a structured process of selecting the right people for international assignments should be encouraged. All managers who have the potential to work overseas should be prepared for cross national experience. The headquarters should maintain a central inventory of international executives and monitor a continuous career development program. There is no substitute to training the existing employees for future role in an MNE. The usual objective of training program for international executives may be summed up as transfer of knowledge, improvement in communication, understanding companies' goals and way of operating, increasing sensitivity to cultural patterns that may be foreign to their own experience and values, improving adaptability to the new environment. The training program should have cross-national focus, though the training cannot be a substitute for an actual foreign living experience. It may, however, minimize the challenges that employees may have to encounter and help adapt them to new system. Training essentially helps avoid the damage that may be caused by the cultural shock. The training program should be chalked out keeping in mind the training needs. In one study, Mary Johnston found that human relation skills, understanding of other cultures, and ability to adapt were the most pressing training needs for overseas managers. The conclusions were based on a survey of American workers assigned internationally and their Asian colleagues. The training programs to meet specific needs of international managers may be carried out internally as well as externally. The internally oriented programs may also be tailored to the needs of specific individuals and their specific job assignment. The executive may be given on the job training under the supervision of the seniors. The learning in such cases is real and not a mere intellectual exercise. It is an effective way of seniors undertaking the culture as well. In addition to internal trainings, the externally oriented programs are aimed at broadening the manager's horizon beyond its own organization and job. Foreign language training, for instance, is given by academic or institutions for foreign culture, but it may not equip the manager with specific terminology required for business. Hence, the employees should be exposed to the seminars, conferences, workshops, and other important means of training the international managers on specific topics. For instance, a workshop on transfer pricing may be very useful for MNE managers. Various approaches to cross-cultural training have been used in the multinational enterprises. However, it may be mentioned here that some training approaches are more rigorous than others. Some approaches, example simulation, require the trainee to participate directly in the learning experience, while others, example, listening to lectures of experts or trainers, require far low mental and emotional efforts to absorb the information or specific context. According to Black and Mendenhall, more rigorous approaches which require the trainee to exert significant cognitive and behavioral effort are more effective than less rigorous approaches. However, to effectively conduct rigorous training programs that even for employees assigned internationally require significant amount of time and money. Not all the firms or companies can afford to send their managers for the off-job training. Expatriate training generally involves two types of training. One, pre-departure training, that is before the employee leaves his or her home country, and two, HCN training, that is after the employee joins the firm in the host country. Components of effective pre-departure training programs. The components of the effective pre-training programs would include cultural awareness programs, preliminary visits, and language training. Cultural awareness program. The components of cultural awareness programs vary according to country of assignment, duration, purpose of the transfer, and the provider of such programs. The following components are included in cultural awareness training programs. 1. Area studies program that include environmental briefing and cultural orientation. 2. Culture assimilators. 3. Language training. 4. Sensitivity training. And 5. Field experiences. Apart from cultural awareness programs, preliminary visits may be highly useful. Language training may include the following points. 1. The role of English as the language of world business. 2. Host country language skills and adjustment. 3. Knowledge of the corporate language. HCN training may include the following components: 1. Specific firm based training. 2. Building a sense of corporate identity. And 3. Specific skill building. Expatriate performance appraisal. A performance appraisal is the formal assessment of employees' job performance. Such appraisals are important to the employing institution because they 1. Provide feedback to the employees that will assist them in doing better and in planning their career path. 2. Provide information that is needed to make employment decisions on such issues as pay levels, promotions, and training needs. And 3. Provide information necessary for human resource research tasks, such as validating selection methods and training programs. There are many performance appraisal methods, and they can be divided into two categories, that is, the objective appraisal methods and judgmental appraisal methods. Objective appraisal methods. Objective performance appraisal measures involve such objectives and quantifiable outputs as sales volume, units produced, scrap rates, and so on. Yet, another objective measure is the score on some form of standardized performance test. These data are fairly easy to obtain and compare, but they suffer from two major weaknesses. First, these data may not measure performance related to many important organizational goals, such as customer service or corporate image. Second, these data are subject to opportunity bias, wherein some employees are in a better position to succeed than others. For instance, a computer salesman in an underdeveloped country does not have an opportunity to generate sales when compared with a salesman in a developed community. Judgmental appraisal methods. There are three commonly used judgmental performance appraisal. 1. Checklist. The simplest judgmental technique for evaluating job performance is simply to check statements on a list or on a questionnaire. A checklist should describe worker behavior with short phrases or adjectives that can be checked yes or not checked no. 2. Graphic rating scales. Because of the inherent limitation of the checklist, the graphic rating scales are developed to provide a method to rate individual performance on rating scales. 3. Behaviorally anchored rating scales. The behaviorally anchored rating scale, BARS, is a more sophisticated rating scale that is designed for a particular job or group of jobs. Superiors are asked to construct the rating scales around critical behavioral anchors, that is, the specific, observable behaviors that define behaviors which are common to varying levels of performance. According to Wikipedia, bars are normally presented vertically, wherein the scale points range from 5 to 9. Bars can be an effective tool for performance appraisal provided the behaviorally anchored statements are accurately stated. Bars can add behavioral scale anchors to traditional rating scales like graphic training. Multinational performance management. While the general strategic position of a large corporation may be international, multinational, global, or transnational, the corporation makes strategic choices based on economic and political imperatives. Within this context, the multinationals have specific expectations for each of its foreign affiliates in terms of market performance and contribution to total profits and competitiveness. When evaluating the performance of a subsidiary against these expectations, it is important to recognize various constraints that may affect goal attainment. We identify 5 major constraints. 1. Whole versus part performance appraisal. 2. Non-comparable data. 3. Volatility of the international environment. 4. Separation by time and distance. 5. Variable levels of maturity. Criteria used for performance appraisal of international employees. The criteria used for performance appraisal of international employees have the following goals. 1. Hard goals. 2. Soft goals. 3. Contextual goals. Who conducts the performance appraisal? The performance appraisal may be conducted by 1. The immediate superior back home. 2. The immediate host country superior. 3. The multiple raters or 360 degrees feedback. How to conduct appraisal of HCN employees. The practice of performance appraisal confronts the issue of cultural applicability. Performance appraisal in different nations can be interpreted as a signal of distrust or even as an insult. In Japan, for instance, it is important to avoid direct confrontation to save face, and this custom affects the way in which the performance appraisal is conducted. A Japanese manager cannot directly point out a work related problem or a mistake committed by a subordinate. Instead, he or she is likely to start discussing with the subordinate about the strong points of the person's work and further continuing with a discussion about the work on a relatively general level. Then, he might continue to explain the consequences of the type of mistake committed by the subordinate, still without directly pointing out the actual mistake of the individual employee. From all this, the subordinate is supposed to understand his/her mistake and propose how to improve his or her work. One way to overcome the dilemma of cultural adaptation is to use host country nationals to assist in devising a suitable system for appraising the local staff in the subsidiary and to advise on the conduct of the appraisal. The need for local responsiveness may affect the multinational's ability to effectively implement a standardized approach of performance management at all levels in international business operations. International compensation. In this section, we talk about objectives, approaches, and key components of international compensation. A. Objectives of international compensation. From the MNC point of view, the following may be the objectives. 1. The policy should be consistent with the overall strategy, structure, and business needs of the multinational. 2. The policy must work to attract and retain staff in the areas where the multinational has the highest needs and opportunities. Thus, the policy must be competitive and recognize factors such as incentive for foreign service, tax equalization, and reimbursement for reasonable costs. 3. The policy should facilitate the transfer of international employees in the most cost-effective manner for the firm. 4. The policy must give due consideration to equity and ease of administration. From the international employee's point of view, the following may be objectives. 1. The employees will expect that the policies offer financial protection in terms of benefits, social security, and living costs in the foreign location. 2. The employee will expect that a foreign assignment will offer opportunities for financial advancement through income and other savings. 3. The employee will expect that issues such as housing, education of children, and recreation will be addressed in the policy. B. Approaches to international compensation. While working out compensation or compensation packages for international employees, the following approaches may be used. 1. The going rate approach. The going rate approach is based on local market rates, relies on survey comparisons of local nationals, expatriates of same nationality, and expatriates of all nationalities. Compensation based on the selected survey comparison, base pay and benefits may be supplemented by additional payments for low-pay countries. 2. The balance sheet approach. The following are the features of balance sheet approach. A. Basic objective is the maintenance of home country living standard plus financial inducement. B. Home country pay and benefits are the foundation of this approach. C. Adjustment to home packages to balance additional expenditure in host country if any. D. Financial incentives added to make the package attractive. E. Most common system used by other similar multinational firms. C. Key components of an international compensation program. The following are the key components of an international compensation program. A. Basic salary. B. Foreign service inducement. C. Allowances, cost of living allowance, housing allowance, home leave allowance, education allowance, relocation allowance, and spouse assistance. D. Other benefits as per the company policy. The above components are the basic components, but the compensation program varies from organization to organization. Summary. IHRM is crucial for ensuring competitiveness and productivity for those firms which enter into international business operations. IHRM helps internationally engaged firms, including MNEs, to recruit, select, compensate, evaluate, and retain the diverse workforce for managing international business. The organization must be able to attract and retain right people who can perform at higher levels and are loyal and committed to the organizational objectives. The 4 C's for effective management of human resources are commitment, competence, congruence, and cost effectiveness. IHRM includes human resource planning, staffing, performance management, training and development, compensation, and labor relations, etc. An international firm may have 3 types of employees: host country national, parent country national, and third country nationals. Culture means the whole set of social norms and responses that condition a population's behavior and includes beliefs, values, and attitudes and behaviors. Elements of cross cultural diversity include spoken and unspoken language. As for managing diversity is concerned, an international organization may have any of the 4 orientations: ethnocentric, polycentric, region centric, and geocentric. Managing cultural, individual, and workforce diversity are important issues in international management. In the matter of recruitment and staffing, an international firm may be guided by the above 4 approaches. Recruitment of expatriate staff, particularly managers, has become quite a common practice these days, as several advantages may ensue to the recruiting company. Expatriate failures can be minimized or managed through proper preparation, that is, training and development. The proper preparation may include cultural awareness, training programs, preliminary visits, and language training. The performance appraisal may be based on objective or subjective methods. Systematic tools have been developed to appraise the performance. While deciding upon the compensation policy, objectives of the employer and employee should be kept in mind. Compensation of workforce, including managers, may be based on market rates or balance sheet approaches. The components of compensation package may include basic salary and several other allowances.
You were listening to the audiobook by the School of Management Studies IGNOU for MBA program. Course code Mmpc 016 International Business Management. Course Coordinator Professor G. Subayama. Voiceover by Renuka. Edited by Ashok Sharma. Program assisted by Tarannum Jahan and Jagbandhu Jana. Program produced by Dr. Manoj Kumar Singh. This program was brought to you by Electronic Media Production Center of Indira Gandhi National Open University.